Welcome back, friends, and hello to new viewers. If you're new to my channel and haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. Click on the red button wherever it is and subscribe to my channel. And also want to say thank you to everybody for liking this video and sharing with friends and family and on social media. I think you're going to enjoy this one. So this one is titled Trump Goes Bankrupt. And I want to start with what's happening right now. So I'm going to take you to a quick news article. And this has to do with Kaine and Collins' censure resolution, which seeks to bar Trump from holding office again, because apparently they don't think that they can get enough senators to convict Trump in an impeachment trial, which was what they obviously needed and wanted. So they're thinking about just going straight to censure and barring Trump from holding office again. So that was a really interesting article, and I can include the link below. And I want to talk about the astrology. So let's go look at the astrological alignments. And as you know, a week ago, I made a video talking about why I felt that Trump would be convicted. And so, but I also said, well, actually what I said was, I thought there was more than 50% chance. So that's still not a prediction, but I definitely thought it was leaning toward conviction. But I also said that as we moved forward in time and had more information, that I would give you updates. So here's what I want to say. I'm looking at the astrology, and the astrology shows me that on March 16th, Saturn is exactly opposite his Pluto, and we still have the square from Uranus. And on the day that Saturn is opposite his Pluto, the moon is also moving into conjunction with Uranus. So I want to explain really quickly what this means astrologically, what's the energy of this. And then I want to look further in time, because what I want to say here is that regardless of the whether or not they even do a trial, I think they will, whether or not they can convict Trump, because they need 2/3 of the Senate to convict. And right now they don't seem to have that support. Or if they censure him and block him, bar him from ever running for federal office again. What I want to say here is very broadly, however this comes about, it's already a fait accompli. Okay. His political career is over. That's done. Okay. That's not going to change. Regardless of what happens with an impeachment trial, regardless of whether or not they convict him in an impeachment trial, regardless of whether or not they pass the censure resolution and bar him from ever running for federal office again, I'm telling you right now, his political career is over. 100%. That's already a fact. That's a fait accompli. Okay. He will never be president again. Okay. So you don't ever have to worry about that again. But what we want to know is a little more about maybe how that comes about or what that looks like. And so when I'm seeing Saturn in opposition to his Pluto, and actually I just realized that I also wanted to check and see if that Saturn will retrograde over that point. So I'll do that as well, and I'll give you that information on this video. But Saturn is going to square Uranus 3 times. And Saturn is more powerful. Between Saturn and Uranus, Saturn is more powerful than Uranus. So Saturn is containing that Uranian energy. And so this is Trump's sense of power. He aligned himself with the extremists, okay? That's the Uranian energy up here. But you can see it's forming a T-square. And so the government, this is the established authority, the Constitution, the legitimate government, the legitimate power and authority is censoring him one way or another, whatever, I mean, in the broadest sense of the word. They may do it literally through the censoring resolution, or they may do it through a trial, but one way or another, his power is being censored, okay, with Saturn in exact opposition to his Pluto. And the square up here to this extremist energy, and I said before, it's the extremists who are actually bringing him down, you know, because the Saturn has to respond to that. He's been aligning himself with this extremist energy. And so Saturn, the authority, the established authority, has to come in and contain that energy and censor him. So in the end, it's actually the extremist energy that brings him down, that triggers this event. So, so whatever the exact day is, whatever the exact method is, I'm telling you, his political career is over. He will never be president again. Okay. I also want to say a little bit about the way that astrology works, because when I said in my last video that I thought that the impeachment trial would conclude on or around March 16th, I got a comment saying that that timeline was too far out, which it may be, especially because at this point we don't even know how it's all going to unfold. But the way astrology works is astrology is energy that's building. So it's already in effect, okay? Saturn, at this moment when I'm making this video, is already moving into an opposition to his Pluto. And so it's already in effect. It's building. The energy is building. It peaks on March 16th, okay? So it's already in effect. It's already doing what it needs to do. And we're moving toward that. So we've got about another month and a half to reach the moment where it peaks, where the energy peaks. And so what I'm saying is sometime between now and March 16th, in the next month and a half, we will see how this will all unfold and conclude itself. But I can tell you that the end result is his political career is over. He will never be president again. No matter how that unfolds, I don't know exactly how it's going to unfold. I don't know exactly when we'll know the exact date that we will know that it's a fact, it's a fait accompli. But I'm saying, looking at the astrology, it's already a fait accompli. All we have to do is sit back and wait for the next month and a half, and you will see, okay? His political career is over. He will never be president again, ever. Now, he does still have some support. You can see that. This is, like I said, this is probably behind the scenes financial support that he's getting, but that won't last, okay? And my next prediction is that he will go bankrupt. So before I show you the chart where I'm predicting he will go bankrupt, I'm going to go real quick look up that Saturn crossing over his Pluto and see if it goes retrograde over his Pluto. So let me go check that. All right, so I did go look up that Saturn to see if it retrogrades over his, in opposition to his Pluto again, and the answer is yes. It will make an exact opposition to his Pluto with Saturn retrograde on August 4th, okay? And as we move forward in time, if you want to see that, I can show you that chart. But first, what I want to do is I want to explain why I think Trump is going to go bankrupt. So it all started with, I'm going to be doing a series of videos on money astrology. And so I've been studying the alignments that are really good for money, and then also some potential problems. So I want to show you really quick what is going to be happening and it all kicks off in December, and this relates to Trump. So you'll understand as I explain this. So, all right, so let me show you the calendar in December. Okay, in December, we will have a Venus-Pluto conjunction on Saturday, December 11th. And that in itself, there's nothing unusual about that. Venus conjoins Pluto once every year. There's nothing unusual about that in itself. Although it can be good for money because both Venus and Pluto are about money and wealth. So their conjunction can increase wealth. But then something very strange happens. So we have this week here. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen during this week, but I would say that this is where the stock market will peak. Then something will happen, and then Venus goes retrograde on December 19th. And I think we may see a stock market decline in this week from the 20th to the end of the week. And then at the end of the week, we have a Uranus-Saturn square, and then Venus-Pluto conjunction retrograde, okay? So let me go back and I'll show you the charts, and also want to explain why I think this relates to Donald Trump. All right, so the first thing that happens is that Venus will conjoin Pluto the first time, and that happens on December 11th. And so that's when I think the stock market will reach a peak. And so I will show you what that looks like. And I'll just go ahead and put it on Trump's chart, and we'll see how this unfolds. So on December 11th, Venus conjoins Pluto. Again, there's nothing particularly unusual about that. It happens once every year, and it can actually increase wealth. So that's fine by itself. And it's even making sextiles to the moon and Neptune and Mars. So this is probably going to be a peak for the stock market, okay? But then something happens, and well, we know for a fact that, at least astrologers know, that Venus will then go retrograde on the 19th, I believe. Yeah, so it conjoins Pluto on December 11th, and then it goes retrograde on the 19th, and it's hovering right over Pluto when it goes retrograde, okay? And this also coincides with a full moon. And like I said, it actually happens on Sunday, December 19th, but I think it's going to kick off, something about this is going to kick off a stock market decline. There's some kind of event is going to happen. Again, when I'm reading astrology, I'm reading the energy. I can't always predict exactly how it's all going to unfold, but I do know that seeing Venus retrograde over Pluto tells me that probably there will be a stock market peak and then a stock market decline. And so that's interesting enough in itself. But then I noticed that there was something especially interesting about what's happening here, okay? So here's what I want you to understand. Venus conjoins Pluto on December 11th. So I'll show you where that Saturn is. Okay, so this is the first conjunction of Pluto and Venus on December 11th. So Saturn is at 9 degrees, 52 minutes Aquarius, opposite his Pluto, okay? So I showed you the March 13th chart where Saturn is exactly opposite his Pluto when Saturn is direct. And then on August 4th, Saturn will oppose his Pluto again exactly when it's retrograde. And then it will make a third opposition in December. And it's interesting because it correlates to some other very interesting astrological events. So when is this Pluto-Venus conjunction, which actually looks really good. And I think that it will indicate a peak in the stock market. Not necessarily so good for Trump, though. Okay. And because you see, he's still got that finger of God alignment that's really intense. And so, and Saturn is moving into the opposition to his Pluto for the third time. So that's where it starts, okay, on December 11th. And then when we go to December 19th, when Venus goes retrograde right over Pluto. Pluto is also about power. As you can see, by December 19th, between December 11th, when Venus was conjunct Pluto, and December 19th, where she goes retrograde right over Pluto, in that week, Saturn makes an exact opposition to his Pluto again, okay? And it also coincides with a full moon. And the reason why this is important is because full moons bring endings, okay? There's something coming to an end. There's something coming to conclusion at the time of these alignments in late December. So one of the things is that Saturn makes its final opposition to Pluto, okay? Once it finishes, it does it 3 times in 2021. Once it finishes, then that's it. He's over. He's already over, but I'm just telling you that, you know, if you don't believe it, just wait. You'll see. And then it also makes a third square to Uranus. So all of this is happening at the same time, okay? So after Venus goes retrograde on December 19th, she makes another conjunction to Pluto on Christmas Day, but something else very interesting happens just before that. We get that final Saturn square to Uranus. And this is also very interesting because of the fact that it coincides with the Venus triple conjunction to Pluto, direct, retrograde, direct, okay? The fact that she goes retrograde right over Pluto, that's intense. The fact that Saturn makes its final square to Uranus on the 24th, and then on the 25th, Venus will conjoin Pluto again, retrograde. So virtually within 24 hours, these two extremely important astrological events occur. And within that week, between the time she makes her first conjunction to Pluto direct and then her second conjunction to Pluto retrograde, Saturn makes its exact opposition to his Pluto for the third and final time, okay? All of these things happen within a very, very short period of time. Just like what we saw, you know, I mean, I've made 2 or 3 really, really important predictions since I've been doing my channel for the past 3 years. The first was I predicted in July of 2019, I predicted that Trump would be impeached. And that was well before the whistleblower was ever known, okay? So I predicted it basically 6 months in advance. And then the second really important prediction that I made was that, and I made this prediction a year in advance, that we were going to see some kind of civil war eruption around Inauguration Day. I made that prediction a year in advance. And I was actually quite frightened, but about how violent it could be. But there was also something in me that was like, I was balancing. I wasn't sure. I was afraid there might be more violence, but I wasn't sure. And then as it all unfolded, Trump's karma came out. He incited the I did say it would be kicked off with the January 6th alignments. He incited a insurrection, and then that's what led the security forces to come in, and there were 30,000 troops surrounding the Capitol on Inauguration Day with fences and subways closed, and all this other stuff that happened that would not have happened if Trump hadn't incited the insurrection. So that was really, really interesting the way that unfolded. And if anybody thinks that because it happened 2 weeks before inauguration that makes it null and void, no, that's not the way astrology works. The fact that I predicted a Civil War type event a year in advance is extraordinary. And, we've never in our lifetime seen an insurrection on the Capitol. And I hope we never see it again. That will go down in history as an event equivalent to the storming of Fort Sumter that started the Civil War. Fortunately, we are advanced enough that this is not going to devolve into an actual civil war. And part of the reason for that is because of Saturn. Because Saturn is in what's called a dignified position in Aquarius. It's very, very strong and very, very dignified in Aquarius. And it's stronger than this Uranian energy in Taurus. And so it's able to contain the extremism and the violence that is erupting. And we've seen it multiple times. Even after Inauguration Day, we saw extremist violence and protests erupting on the other side of the political spectrum. So this energy is simply about extremism. It doesn't really care if it expresses itself on the left or the right. It's just a disruptive, chaotic, anarchic, extremist energy that doesn't really know what it wants to do, except that it wants to destroy things. And but Saturn is very dignified and can contain this Uranian energy. So Saturn will win out in the end and bring more. It will learn to integrate, okay? And it will bring more, it ultimately will actually bring more transparency and more democracy to our government. So at the time of this final exact Saturn-Uranus square on December 24th, just about 24 hours before Venus makes her second conjunction to Pluto on Christmas Day. There's also this interesting moon opposition to Jupiter squaring the nodes. It's an exact grand cross, which is also interesting because it's right over his Trump's ascendant. Okay, this grand cross is bringing some final karmic end to his political career, but not just to his political career. Okay, his political career is over. It's already over. These alignments are, they already prove, I'm making a prediction, 100%, zero holding back. Absolutely 100%, his political career is over. He will never be president again, okay? And he's not going to go for anything less than president, so you don't even have to worry about that anyway. So, but his political career is over. But now I'm going to show you why he's also going to go bankrupt. So this is December 24th. Now let me show you December 25th, when we have the second exact Venus-Pluto conjunction retrograde. So Venus and Pluto, which rule wealth and power and money. That's why I think we might actually have a stock market decline with this Venus retrograding over Pluto. It's exactly opposite his Venus in the 12th house, okay? So as far as I'm concerned, he's bankrupt. This is it. This is the end for him. It's over. You can see there's almost no trines in this chart. There's almost nothing working in his favor at this point. Jupiter is squaring the nodes at the 29th degree. His political career is over, absolutely 100% over. Saturn has made its third and final opposition to his Pluto, third and final square to Uranus within, just weeks. I think it was possibly even less than a week, but definitely less than 2 weeks. And when you have two or three or four very important astrological events all happening within a very short period of time, and like 2 weeks is a very, very short period of time when it comes to astrology, that all of these astrological events are happening in the same time span. The 11th, the 19th, the 24th, the 25th, all within that short 2-week period of time. Not only is his political career over, he is going bankrupt with that Venus retrograde over Pluto opposite his Venus in the 12th house of endings. Yeah, he's going bankrupt. And his wife might divorce him too, because Venus is also representative of relationships and sometimes even manifests as a female. And so honestly, it's not just that his political career is over and not just that he's going bankrupt, but I honestly think his wife may even end up divorcing him, because why would she want to be with him? There's nothing, by himself. I can't imagine any woman could possibly want to be married to him. It might have been different when he had some fame and power and wealth and so on and so forth, that she could benefit from that, but there's not going to be anything left. So why would she want to be with him? So, his chickens have come home to roost. His karmic chickens have come home to roost. And I also mentioned to you that when Jupiter goes into his 8th house, then Saturn will be all alone in his 7th house. And that's important because Saturn is restriction, limitation. When it's in your 7th house of long-term meaningful relationships, and Saturn is the only planet in your 7th house of long-term meaningful relationships, it's like everybody's slamming the door in his face, especially once Jupiter's out of there, which you can see probably by the 26th or 27th or shortly after. Certainly, it's definitely going to happen before the end of December 2021. Jupiter is leaving his 7th house Aquarius. I'm just checking. Okay, here it is. It happens on the 28th, December 28th. That's the exact day that Jupiter leaves Aquarius and enters Pisces. So Saturn will be the only planet left in his 7th house for another 1.5 years. So basically, he's over. He is absolutely over. His political career is over. He'll go bankrupt. His wife may divorce him. And when Saturn is the only planet left in his 7th house of long-term meaningful relationships for 1.5 years, doors will just be slamming in his face. He will be left alone, broke, with nothing left. It's sad. It's really sad, but this was his karma. He made it. He made that choice all the way up to that moment of January 6th, 2021. That was the moment when the straw on the camel's back finally broke the camel's back. And he will only go down from here on out until he literally reaches rock bottom, when there is nothing and no one left. And that's his fate. So I don't know if there's much more to say about Donald Trump now. There's really not. I've told you this. I mean, this is 100% prediction that I'm making, and I'm making it basically a year in advance that his political career is over. He will never be president again. He will go bankrupt. His wife may divorce him, and he will lose everything and everyone. He will be left alone and broke with nothing. Okay, so done. All right, so not that I'm not going to still do political videos, and do my best to answer your questions. If you really, really, really want your questions answered, go sign up on Patreon. We meet virtually every Friday at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time. We're going to meet this Friday at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time. If you want to be there, if you want to join us, then sign up for Patreon. Come to the group Zoom. We usually go for about 2 hours. So not always exactly 2 hours, but around, give or take. So if you can't make it exactly at 4:30, you're welcome to come in a little bit later, but you have to be a Patreon member. You have to be a patron to get into the Zoom, because I don't want any disruptive elements in there. So that creates a filter. So these are people who really seriously want their questions answered, and we're building a community together and getting to know each other, and it's really fun. So, so if you really want your questions answered, come on over to Patreon. And other than that, I am going to try to do some new series, not just, astrological alignments like new moons and full moons and such, but also do some series on money astrology, love astrology, health and fitness astrology, and all these other subjects that are really super interesting where astrology is concerned. We've got some really gorgeous alignments coming in 2021. And if you are needing or wanting to make more money, to start a business, advance your career, any of these things, we have some really extraordinary planetary alignments in 2021 for you to be successful. So keep your eye out for that. And until then, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and also ring the bell, because I'm not sure what it is about the YouTube algorithms, but they seem to be tightening up or something like that, especially on astrology. I've heard that across the board, that a lot of astrologers are having a hard time getting their videos out there. And I'm not sure about the political stuff, if they're tightening up on the algorithm with that as well. But if you want to make sure you get this notified for this video, please ring the bell. And also, again, thank you for liking this video. Thank you for sharing with friends and family and on social media. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.